Nate and Gabe talk about games.
So what do you guys think about Towerfall?
Well, my first point about what I dislike about Towerfall, one of the things that I kind of dislike about it is that some of the enemies have arrows and it's, hard to get past the arrows, so that's really the only point I can think of that I really dislike it. And I mean, I think it's kind of fun that they have arrows. I mean, it's not like the funnest part, so that's kind of why I put it under the dislike column. But I think it kind of is a fun challenge. It's still pretty hard though, so.
And one of the things I really like about Towerfall is the imagination. I mean, they put a lot of, I think even though it's kind of an older game kind of look to it, they put a lot of effort, I think, in designing the locations and the enemies, all those kinds of creatures, and so it's a really fun game in my opinion.
I've got a lot of things that I like about it since it's a pretty fun game. I agree with Nate about that. So I probably will have way more things that I like about it. The first thing that I have on my list is that I like how if you don't have arrows and you have to kill an enemy to get to your arrows, I like how you can just hop on the enemies. Jump on them and they explode or whatever they do when you hop on them.
And I also, one of the things I like about it is that it's, I like how there's different classes of enemies, like the slime monsters would be the easiest, the bramble worms would be kind of medium, so with the ghosts, and those like the archers and those winged thingies that fly are kind of the harder enemies.
I also, another thing I like about Towerfall is if you get shot at by an arrow, you can dash into it so that not only will you not get hurt, but you also collect the arrow. I think also you can dash against one of the people who's your enemy and actually steal their arrow before they even shoot it.
Yeah, the dashing is a very helpful thing. Not only does it can also help you avoid enemy arrows, it can also help you, like if your arrow is way up on the ceiling and you can't get to it by just jumping, you can jump and then dash up and then get...
Yeah, it's something like a double jump in some of the other newer video games, like Destiny or something.
What can you tell me about the story?
The story it's the quest mode. I think it's a fun mode to do. There's two modes to it, normal and hardcore, and the story you're supposed to it's not like some of the other old games like Mario Brothers or Bonk's Adventure, where you just go across this long stretch of level. You just stay in this one area, and in the story mode, portals will form that spawn enemies out of them that you're supposed to shoot, and they come in different waves. Usually the final waves are the hardest.
Yeah, there's in the beginning levels, there's 6 stages, and then there's 7 stages, and then I think in the harder levels there's 8 stages, and I think in Ascension there's 10 stages.
So they get harder. It's typical in most games, they get harder as they progress. The hardcore mode makes even the very first levels, like Backfire, extra hard, because it's it's a harder mode. That's why they call it hardcore.
Yeah. Also, there's some kind of extra extra bonus round where you're supposed to kill 70 enemies and the portals just form. There's no stages that you have to go through. There's no 1 to 10 or whatever. It's like one big stage and the portals just form and you're supposed to take out all the enemies.
So there's also, not only is there the regular story like Sacred Grounds, Twilight Spire, Backfire, Flight, Frostman Keep, King's Court, there's also special levels that you can unlock. One of them, I think the easiest one to unlock, is where you just pick random, for verses, you just pick random, and sometimes it'll go to a new thing that's Sunken City, it'll unlock it, but just all you have to do to unlock it is just do random, and it doesn't always go right
In
to that.
versus mode?
Yeah, in versus mode, it doesn't always go right to Sunken City. Sometimes it goes to other ones like King's Court, but
What about the versus mode? I think most people play the versus mode. What can you tell me about that?
Well, versus mode is just where it's like it can be 4-player mode. Well, this quest mode can be 4 players as well, but it's where if there are like 2 people playing, then those 2 people choose their characters and then they battle each other and you can stomp on your friend if you want, and you can shoot them and kill them. Of course, in Quest you can still shoot them and kill them, but of course you don't really mean to in Quest mode because you're supposed to work together in Quest mode.
And versus, you can also choose the settings, like you can turn on, there's one of the upgrades I really like is dark portals, where during versus you can actually turn on these portals that will spawn enemies while you're supposed to fight each other. It's really only fun if you put it on last man standing. Headhunters, if you get killed by the enemies, the enemies get a point and you lose points. So, it's kind of endless with dark portals with headhunters.
Yeah, I think that Dark Portals is okay fun because, it's not, because I kind of enjoy versus because there's no enemies you have to fight. It's just your friend you're supposed to fight. So I think that's more fun. But of course, yeah, Last Man Standing with Dark Portals on is a little easier since the enemies are trying to kill your friend as well. Of course, they are trying to kill you too. And,
So how much do you think Towerfall costs? Do you remember?
You mean buying the game on disc or
No,
something?
just buying the game at all. How much do you think it costs?
Well,
Or how much do you think it's worth?
Well, I say it's a very fun game, and even though the graphics look kind of old, it's very fun. I'd say maybe, since we're kids, we don't really have that good of a grasp on the economy and on the economical situations.
$75 maybe?
It would be, all video games, they don't just pass them to you for like 50 cents. They're usually video games are worth a lot, no matter what they are. I'd say, Towerfall is kind of more the medium games that, like maybe $50, $70. I wouldn't say something too crazy high, like $172. I wouldn't also say like 25 though. It's a very fun game, and
75 would probably be a pretty moderate price
You feel
for
like it
it.
would be okay to say this game's worth $75?
Well,
Yeah.
it does look kind of old, and the graphics, they're kind of old looking, but so it might be not worth as much as say like Destiny would be, since the better the graphics are, the more it's worth usually. Also, the more advanced it is and new.
So if you had to give Towerfall a grade score, what would you give?
A grade score? Well, I think, maybe something like I really like it. I'd say either a B plus or an A or something like that. It's not that.
One.
I know. It's not the funnest game I've ever played, but it is a really fun game. I'd say an A.
Yeah, I'd give it an A as well, because, I mean, true, I agree with Nate. It's not the funnest game I've played. Probably Destiny would be, but still. I'd say that would be like my second or third favorite game I like to play.
Towerfall.
Yeah.
So your second or third favorite game of all time?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Destiny's
We
probably.
haven't played every game in the world. Maybe one day if we find a better game, we might, re-rank Towerfall. But it's
Destiny
it's
too.
a pretty fun game, so I'd say an A for now.
Yeah, for now, an A.
And you guys played the game so much that you know the theme song by heart, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of
Well,
different theme songs.
King's Court anyway.
Some of my favorite songs are the ones for King's Court, Flight, and the
And
Moonstone.
how many songs do you think that you know together that you could like put together?
Probably King's Court would be, and Flight are.
Three.
Yeah, King's Court and Flight are the ones that I
Pick one.
know.
How much more?
King's Court, it goes something like this.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Welcome.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.